I'm a big believer that you do not have to wait until you are 60 and 70 and 80 to do amazing things.
That's right.
But in this season of our lives, what would it be if us in our 20s and in our 30s are able to use this season and this time to make radical impact? And if we can get together to be able to position ourselves, not just what we may do in church, but when we go out into our careers, when we go out into our businesses and in our the career that we particularly have in our families, this life that we have is not just about us. So I invited a couple of panelists. And the panelists that I chose for today is not an accident that they're here, because when I crafted the program, I crafted it with them in mind. And the reason is because they have chosen to do amazing things in their youth. Nefi, I know from church. Geo, I know from high school. So being able to know that there are people who we are already connected to, and we don't have to search high, far, and wide to see where impact is happening. So tonight, we're going to have a panel discussion. It's not going to be us talking at you. It's going to be more of a conversation. But then also there's going to be time for Q&A, questions, interaction, and then we're going to have some cake. But I do want to introduce our panelists. We'll start with Nefertiti Anderson, is a digital correspondent, video producer, and social media strategist who helps entrepreneurs and brands achieve their business goals through multimedia storytelling. Her ability to meet the needs of various target audiences stem from her training in Beijing, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. Throughout her career at Black Entertainment Television, which we know as BET, Nefi interviewed some of your favorite celebrities, such as Nick Cannon, K. Michelle, Sierra, Candy Buress, August Aslina, Diggy Simmons, Keisha Cole, and Nelly, just to name a few. As the network social media strategist, Nefi spearheaded the digital campaigns for Tier 1 shows and specials such as the BET Awards, 106 & Park, and Black Girls Rock. With 6 years of professional experience spanning television, digital, print, and radio, Nefi balances a career both in front and behind the camera as the creator, producer, and host of her very own show, The Path Less Traveled Series, a web series that exclusively spotlights millennial entrepreneurs. Named as one of Innovative Magazine's top 100 women visionary leaders to watch, Nefi has been recognized by her work by national outlets such as the American Marketing Society Association, Z100's Elvis Duran's Morning Show, La Vie, Media Bistro, and more. Nefi's global reach and ability to remain relevant in a changing world has allowed her to work with clients such as Adelphi University, Media Bistro, and the Jasmine brand. Nefi holds a bachelor's degree in communications from Adelphi University. She lives, works, and plays in New York, devoting much of her time as a mentor, public speaker, and coach. And he's so welcome. Geovanni Derice is the author of The Thirst is Real, a guide dedicated to helping students maximize their full potential. Geo has been personally acknowledged for his work with the youth by the New York City Councilman. Geo was recently chosen to head up a youth advocacy group to help reach, provide inspiration, and practical strategies to help increase success among the youth in New York City. Find Spark, the nation's largest meetup group for interns and recent grads in the country, called Geo an extraordinary inspirational speaker who speaks to the hearts, minds, and souls of students, and also named him one of the 30 top Black professionals with careers that will inspire you. Geo grew up in the streets of Brooklyn, New York, where he attended one of New York City's worst high schools, Lafayette High School, 2630 Benson Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11214. His high school was labeled by the New York Daily News as the Jewel School. That did happen, actually. Yes. And was known for having an average of one violent incident every 3 days. Nonetheless, he thrived as a scholar athlete, winning many awards, living out principles instilled in him by his parents for hard work, excellence, and faith. During college, Geo would give back to his high school coaching the football team for 3 years, where he mentored many of the players who thank him today for the men that they are now. Geo has worked behind the scenes with selling several multi-million-dollar enterprises. As a vice president for marketing, he helped put together a campaign that helped generate over 6 figures $100,000 in monthly revenue. In addition to his work in business, he's partnered with organizations such as the Yogi Berra Museum, the Foundations for Life, all geared towards empowering youth to achieve his personal best and live out their promising futures. When not speaking, Gio can be found watching HGTV with his beautiful wife, Marcia, who Gio can't believe actually married.
Oh, hi everyone! Hi. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Happy birthday again. Hey. So what brought me to this point? I always knew that I loved public speaking. My mom had me in everything, all extracurricular activities in church and in school, every play I was in, every poetry reading contest, Black History Month, everything. So, you know, public speaking, I loved it. I loved the way that I could command a room and inspire, empower, motivate people just by using my voice. On the other hand, social media and video production, I ain't choose that life chose me. I got into that because it happened naturally. It was something that I was good at, and I didn't realize how good I was at it until the university that I attended created a position for me in order to do those very things: social media, video production, and public speaking. And I've gotten to this point because I would like to use my platform, whichever one of those that may be, in order to help others reach their goals, because I'm the only person in my family that works in entertainment, and when going to college, no one really thought that I was doing something smart. You going to college for communications, what you going to do with that degree, why don't you become a teacher, blah, 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 the unknown. But, when I'm on the BET Awards red carpet, everybody believes in me, oh yes, we always knew. And so I just always wanted, I never wanted someone to be in the position that I was in where they felt like they didn't have any support because their dream was too big. If your dream is not big, then why dream at all? You know what I mean? So I use my platforms in order to inspire, encourage, empower, and motivate people in order to get from where they need to go. So if you want to make clothes for insects, I'm yes, we're going to make these clothes for insects. Let me show you how. So that's that in a nutshell.
Honestly, I grew up the oldest in my family. I didn't have somebody to kind of give me the guide and tell me exactly what to do. Yes, your parents tell you good stuff, but obviously the more they tell you, you kind of figure out they're supposed to tell you that. So I didn't have that person who went through it in high school here. My parents are from Haiti, so when they tell me how school is, that's not how school is here. So obviously I wanted to go ahead and help others to kind of have that big brother that I never had. And so that's what drove me to the point where I wanted to do motivational speaking, and then writing a book came out of the fact that I just wanted to give something cool to read outside of just the comic books and the gossip blogs and all that stuff, although I do read those too. And but just to have the impact. And so I think I'm so excited about this event because we're talking about living a life of purpose. And I think that's something that money could never measure. No matter how successful you are, your tombstone when you go and you're done with life here, you don't get to take your money with you, right? But you can go ahead and have a name and make it stand for something. And I just want to help others be able to do the same.
Awesome. When did you first realize that you were gifted in the areas that you are in? I know that you talked about you were put in so many things to do, you were put in positions to speak, but when did you know, not because you were told to do stuff, that there's something good here?
I think that I realized that I was gifted in those areas when I saw how ungifted other people were. Because you think, for me, and that's something that I kind of still struggle with, is realizing that everybody isn't me, and that everybody doesn't have the skill sets that I have. Because when it comes to you naturally, it's everybody can do it. But when I realized that I was really gifted in that area was, like I said, when my back was against the wall, backstory, graduated college, ooh, I'm gonna get this career on and popping, and I was applying, and everybody's hold up, they don't love you like I love you. We don't got, no one was responding back to me. And of course, they want you to have experience when you just graduated. So you try to get the job so you can get experience, but ain't nobody trying to help you out. I'm not a fan of like waiting for things to happen. I believe in creating your own opportunities. So post-graduation, I basically pitched an idea to my school, like, hey, I want to be the face of your online brand. If I want to be on TV and all that stuff, they need me to have like content, a reel, experience, whatever. So like, let me do that for you. I want to interview everyone that comes to the school, because you know, universities, they hire speakers and stuff to come. I want to interview them before they get on that stage. I want to interview the students before they attend. Because like, how do you know if you did a good job or like you met the person's expectations? And like students, you want to see yourself on YouTube or whatever, you know, you're going to watch that. So I pitched an idea, I'm like, let me do that for you. Let me run your social media and all that stuff. And they're like, that's cute and all, but like that position doesn't exist. But they created that position for me because I was able to communicate and show the value that I had. So within 3 months, because this was during the summertime, so it's May, ain't nobody in school right now, they had a program where they partnered university students with non-profit businesses in the tri-state area. So the whole summer I was interviewing students and their employers, and within 3 months, using my public speaking, my video producer, because I was like the one-woman band, so I was like the on-camera person, the behind-camera person, the editor, social media person. I posted all that to social, my experience, my journey, and I was called to helm the social media and stuff at BET, and that's how my career there kind of started.
For me, I would say that that time frame came when a person just gave me an opportunity. Now, to backtrack that, I think a lot of times you kind of find your purpose when you see somebody else out living it. Yeah. And so when I started seeing professional athletes and admiring them and their ability to communicate and to inspire their teammates to do something, I started to see myself wanting to do that. And so a lot of times what happens is we get into a place where we're like, I don't know what I want to do, but you do know what you like. And I realized that I like to have an impact seeing somebody else doing that. And so just told somebody. I think a lot of times what happens is when you feel like you have a gift or something, you keep it as a secret. And you keep it as a secret, no one else can go and help you to open up that package of that gifting that you have. So I told my mentor, who I worked for at the time, that I wanted to be a professional speaker, and he just gave me an opportunity while working at a camp to go ahead and just speak to a group of like 7 kids. There wasn't a lot of kids, and I said, hey, well, it's an opportunity. And after doing it, he told me that I just think that you just found the lane that you were supposed to be in. And I started to feel like the way to know is to actually do.
Yes.
And you'll find out when you do whether you were supposed to do it or not to do it. And at that moment when I saw somebody else who I admired see that in me, I decided to go ahead and cultivate it and strengthen it to where it is now.
Awesome. And especially, I think back to, I never planned on wanting to speak a whole lot, but I knew that, especially when my parents said I talked very fast when I was in high school. It was really, really fast, and my mind was going faster than my mouth. But what I noticed is that I was always in a position where I had to speak. Councils and all of these orientation, when new freshmen come to Lafayette High School, I'm there greeting, hi, you know, talking about the student experience or whatever the case may be. So I was always in a position where I had to speak. But behind the scenes, in trying to get my words to slow down, when my brothers were in speech therapy, I don't even think my mom knows this, I would do the same exercise that my brothers were doing in speech therapy at home to strengthen my tongue so I can speak slower. That's what I was doing, because I knew they kept calling on me to talk, so I wasn't going to say no, but I didn't want to do it with keep tripping over my words. So with having to put in that little piece of discipline of strengthening my tongue so I can feel what I'm saying and know what I'm saying, that helped me to know that it's not so bad. And people kind of like what I'm saying, but I like it too. So that lets me know that yes, this is a lane that I can kind of create and carve for myself. Not that I'm running to the front of the room, but hey, if no one's going to talk, I'll do it. That's what I know, where I began to find little gaps and little spaces to know that, maybe you can work with this one here. You can work with your mouth. You have it. Try to use it now as a gift to be able to spread whatever it is that I want to spread. But we know that with every gift, every talent, there were also challenges that we face. So post-college, what would you say were a couple of the challenges that you may have identified in trying to find your niche or in even your career field?
I think the top 3 challenges that come to mind for me is like 1, finding a job. That's like everybody's main goal. Most people once you graduate college. 2, figuring out whether or not I want to go to grad school. And then 3, knowing my worth. So graduating college and finding a job, I already spoke on, creating my own opportunity. And so I encourage everyone to do that because this day and age, like nobody's gonna hand you anything. So like, in order for you to get the job you want, you need to already be doing it. In regards to grad school, we all come from like a West Indian family. Education is very important. My mother's an educator, and so, there was a strong push for me to go to grad school. But I'm like, I don't think that grad school is gonna like get me to where I want to go. I don't think, in order to be on TV or to be a radio host, you don't necessarily need to go to grad school in order to get that job. You don't even need to go to college to get that job. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna opt out, and that was just my first lesson in like listening to my own voice. The third thing was like knowing my own worth, and it's something that like I am strengthening and getting better with every day because, once you get what you want, you're so happy to be there, be in that room, be on that red carpet, interview that celebrity that you don't want to shake the table. You don't want to ask for that raise that you know that you deserve and the benefits that you know that you deserve. But because everybody wants to do what you do, it's like, oh, we could get another one of you tomorrow. So then you stay quiet just to keep your spot. So those were like the 3 main things for me.
For me, I think the toughest part was the challenge of going on a road that was less traveled. So trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to be a person who doesn't want to work the typical 9 to 5. There's no person in my family that was a guiding light. I don't know anyone who did that. And so you have also the friends that you're surrounded by who also don't understand that. And so you purposely are going in a direction knowing that no one really is going there with you. And so now all of a sudden it becomes weird. Like, your friends at 5 o'clock are complaining about work and you're talking about I love work. It's like, we just can't relate with one another. And so all of a sudden you start to feel that fear of success. It's like, I don't want to be successful here because it'll just alienate me from the people that I truly love and admire and want to be around. So I found that to be like one of the greatest challenges is doing something that no one else has done before. And that kind of would make me like a little bit hesitant to want to go ahead and pursue that.
So when you talk about seeing things that no one wanted to see or do before, would you say that that was one of the gaps that you were seeing in the marketplace that allowed you to kind of lean in and say, maybe I'll do it if no one else?
But I'm definitely, I don't like being a copycat. Like I definitely understand that there's so much greater value in being an original. So the reality is that you go ahead and be a copy, well, the copy is never going to be more expensive than the original thing. So you can get a fake Louis Vuitton bag, and that's $50. The real one is a lot more than that. And so
$100.
I wouldn't know. But the thing is, I started to realize that became like my new drug. Like I was like, I want to just do what everyone says you cannot do, and I want to be the first person to do something because the reality is the people that I admired and I look up to, they were first in whatever they were doing too. And so because they inspired me and I wanted to go and leave a legacy inspiring somebody else, that would be that path kind of found me.
Awesome. What about you? What would you say were some of the gaps that you may have seen in the marketplace that let you know that, because you said in the beginning that people weren't doing it well, and you said, well, maybe I can do that. But what were some of the gaps that you were seeing that said, maybe I can jump in here?
Well, what I didn't see was myself. So everyone has somebody that
Say
they
that
look
one
up
more
to.
time.
What I didn't see was myself. I believe that like we are all our target audiences. So you're your target audience, you're your target audience. I'm my target audience. And I didn't see me. I love Wendy Williams and I love Oprah. I feel like I'm, a master of the two of them. We'll talk about that later. But I didn't, we in 2 different age groups, So where was the young person like myself that took the path less traveled to let me know that I can not only do what I want to do, but also be successful at it? Because a lot of times society tells you that if you do a non-traditional career or you're in the creative field, then you're gonna be living off of crumbs forever. And now it's not, you know, I want to be living good too, you know? And so I'm just like, okay, so I need to create this space, and that's one of the ways that my web series, The Path Less Traveled, started. So every time you say The Path Less Traveled, I'm like squealing inside, just so you know. Yes, we're on the same page.
Branding.
Yes. So The Path Less Traveled is a web series that spotlights millennial entrepreneurs who successfully turn their passion into a lucrative career. So just like the both of us, there's no roadmap to being a public speaker or, you know, TV host or an author. There's like, you don't, like, where do you gotta like figure out things on your own. So in order to scratch my own itch and to, you know, collaborate with other creatives and shine a light on people who need encouragement to know that, like, not only can you do this thing that you're passionate about, but you can be successful at it and you don't have to live off of crumbs. You can live a good life, you know? So that was like my in the marketplace. Like, I don't see, you know, Keke Palmer came around for a little bit and I loved it. People said she was too loud. She was a little loud. Kind of turned the TV down when you heard her on her show. But I loved it because she looked like me. She was young, she was successful, she was positive, and she was doing what I wanted to do.
Which is awesome, and especially in seeing yourself in something. So I knew that when I came out of college, I started directly in college admissions. And I knew that my master's was in higher education. I want to use what I went to school for. And in being an admissions counselor, I was doing it. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. But I was able to see something else on the other side of it, that the journey of preparing for college is not just to get into college. But if a student is mindful of what they're doing while they prepare through high school, the impact that is possible for that student, because getting in is easy. Navigating college is the real work. So that's where I was beginning to see those gaps. That everyone's talking about writing the best essay to get to college. Everyone's talking about tutoring to get the perfect score on the SAT to get into college. But who's telling our students how to have discipline? Who's teaching our students how to have these soft skills? That way they can navigate their opportunities in higher education, to use it as that launching pad. And especially West Indian background, education, it shall be.
Yeah.
There's no other option.
Yeah.
You know, so especially in using that as a launch pad, how do we train our college students to use their education as a tool that can serve them if they desire to start a business, that can serve them if they desire to go into ministry, if they desire to scale the corporate ladder? The opportunities are endless. But who's showing these kids how to do it other than write a good essay? So I said, let me create what I'm seeing is missing to help students see that opportunity. And that was only the beginning of the process of seeing how it's matured. But the great thing that I heard before is sometimes you just have to do things, and as you do it, you have an idea of, I like it. But no, I don't. I don't like it anymore. I don't want to do it no more. You know, but the good thing is that knowing that you don't have to find yourself limited, because there are significant options. And even for those who may not have had college and have a college experience consistently, you started, you stopped, or you didn't go, whatever. The fact is that there's still an opportunity for you. If you see a gap, you're able to still meet that specific need and go on and still do great things. So now that you talked a little bit about the Path Less Traveled series, we know that vision is so very important for what we want for our own selves. But many don't often talk about what that vision cost us. And it's not always monetary, what the cost is of our vision. But can you both talk about, we'll start with you, Gio, some of the costs. What were some of the trade-offs that you had to make in the relentless pursuit of you?
Wow, I like the way you said that last part. That was really good. I think it's just letting yourself go. So I like the fact that we're talking about being limitless, and like your purpose doesn't have to necessarily have like that glass ceiling. And so to go ahead and think about like what did you do, or how did you get to that point, or what is the thing that it actually costs you. I'm glad you said it, because it does cost something. Right? So a purpose is not free 99. Like, it's going to cost you something. And it cost me comfort. That's what it cost me. So it cost me going into places where I'm the black guy in the room with all the white people in it, right? It cost me being in a room where I'm the dumbest person in the room. Like, that's what it cost me. Is it cost me that fake security where I'm like, hey, this is who I am, and everybody thinks I'm this person. But when I go into that other room, I'm nobody. And being okay to understand that I'm nobody today, but tomorrow I'm going to be somebody because I went in the room where somebody's was hanging out at.
Yeah.
And so I think when we go ahead and start to let ourselves go and don't protect this stigma or this mindset of who you are and understand that who I am is a never-ending process, then all of a sudden it just makes the thing a lot easier. So I would say that honestly, if I had to like narrow it down, it literally was like it cost me comfort. And I think everybody wants that. It's like, hey, my mom tells me all the time, go get the job that will give you security, right? So you gotta go get the 9 to 5 and make sure there's the benefits. I said, oh, Mom, I don't care about health insurance. Well, you will when you need it, right? So I go ahead and I literally went to a job and passed the first day. This was literally a job with the president of the New York Knicks at the time. I go there, the first interview happens, I pass it with flying colors. To the point where I had 3 interviews in the same day and ended up meeting with the vice president. When I spoke to the vice president, he saw my resume and said, all your credentials look just like my job description, but you're applying for a job to be an admin assistant. I don't understand, this doesn't make sense. Like, why aren't you going somewhere and trying to be a vice president? And I told him, this is probably not good advice for any career people, but I literally told him, I'm here to get insurance. Like, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to get the benefits. And he was like, are you serious? And I'm like, my mom told me to go get the job. That's what I'm here for. And he literally was like, well, I mean, if you want the job, I'll give it to you, but you're going to be super miserable because your potential is not down here, it's up here. But if you're going to just book my flights when somebody should be booking yours, you're going to be really upset, you're not going to feel satisfied, you're definitely not going to feel fulfilled.
Right.
And so, again, like I said, comfort is what it costs me, and I will pay that price any day.
I'm so glad you say that because that was a tweetable.
Yes.
So if you are using social media, hashtag 3020experience, hashtag 3020experience. No.
I'm speechless. That was, yeah. So past the offering plate. I agree, comfort was something that, was sacrificed. All my life, believe it or not, people never believe, but it's true. I've always been an outsider. It's kind of like I was an outcast for doing the things that you were supposed to do or want for yourself. I don't want to get a B, I don't want to get an A-, I want to get an A+. So because I always went above and beyond, whether it was at school or in my work life, people felt like I was trying to show them up. And so that made me kind of dim my light for a bit. I was very unhappy because I felt like I couldn't be myself because it made other people feel like they were less than, which is not what I was trying to do. It cost me relationships with everyone. Everybody want to know who's my boyfriend, when am I getting married? These are the questions that continuously come up. But I'm I want to be of value to whoever I'm with. And I'm not looking for somebody to make me complete. A relationship is something that is important, but you have to know why you're going into it, what you're looking to get out of it. I'm not looking for that person to fix me. You know what I mean? My relationship with my family and friends, because opportunity costs, and there's only one use, you can't be everywhere. But also my health, because in putting in those long hours and all that stuff, my sleep pattern is crazy. I sleep for 4 hours a day, literally. It's a habit, it's not something I can control. But then also with weight, my weight is up. My gift for myself for my birthday in September was to get a personal trainer, because I was never obese, but having a healthy lifestyle is very important. And when you're working those late hours and when you're going to those parties and you're in the entertainment industry and it's always free everything, you eat a lot and you kind of lose yourself. And for me, going to the gym and staying on top of my exercise was a way for me to remember me.
And those are some of the, and I'm glad you said especially the opportunity costs, because there always is a cost. And half those costs have, 90% of those costs have nothing to do with money, but all to do with health, relationships. If we're choosing to say yes to someone here, we're really saying no to someone there. And if we're saying no, I can't do this, it allows us to make a better yes. So sometimes those trade-offs are specifically necessary. So you're both entrepreneurs. What would you say are some of the barriers that you may have faced in the launching of your businesses?
I would say, one, ageism. It is real. It's like, come on, there's like no sweet spot. I guess maybe your 30s-ish, 40s-ish. When I graduated college, I was so open with telling people my age. Like, I don't care. I was young back then. My great-grandmother was just like, you shouldn't tell people your age and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't care. It's whatever. But I noticed that was preventing me from moving up. Because when I would go into these meetings, like, hey, like, I would, having that conversation about, like, how I could get a promotion, how I could move up within the company, etc. It would always be like, you're doing amazing, and for your age, like, age always came up, and everybody else your age, and when I was your age, and like, age is always a factor, and it's like, just leave it alone and just worry about my talent. In starting my business, my web series, I think the biggest barrier was listening to myself and taking those risks and making those investments. I started my web series when I got laid off from my job, and when I got laid off, I was supposed to move into my new apartment and all this stuff. I got laid off, I went on a trip to Europe, donating my parents, they thought that was not a wise idea, but I'm like, I'm tired, I need a vacay. And I came back, and I had some like job offers, but I'm just like, I don't feel like working right now. Like, I want to invest back into myself. So I got unemployment money that was like $300 and change, and $200 and change of that went to developing my web series. So that's living off of crumbs. So I was living off of crumbs, and it was very hard because, like, West Indian family, and just any family, they want you to have stability, and it's just like, well, how long should I go sit there, son? And it came to a point where, I was paying for a videographer, editor, etc., and within a couple of months, I got an offer for a radio deal. Somebody saw my show, they wanted to put me on the air, have my own show, my studio, blah, 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 but they wanted, like, everything. People, followers I didn't even have yet, like, all kind of craziness. My family was like, take it. The people I work with in radio was like, take it, you never, but I'm like, I'm not gonna sell my soul, for this, you know what I mean? Like, whatever they're offering you, that you're worth more. So, throughout this journey, I have just learned more to listen to myself. The more that I listen to myself, the less loud the noise of the crowd becomes. Because those people are talking to you, most of the time they're not talking to you from a place of experience. They're talking to you from a place of comfort in their own lives.
One more time.
Right. Most of the time they're not talking to you from a place of experience. They're talking to you from the comfort that they have in their own lives.
I love what you just said. I think what you just said literally reminds me of a quote that says, when you conquer the enemy within, the enemy outside of you can never win.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think when you think about, like, in terms of barriers, like, the barrier is yourself.
Yes.
Right? Because no matter where I go there too. So, like, I could never run away from myself. So the minute I get to that place of trying to go and talk about the two voices in my head that's like, do it, and the other one that says, what makes you think you can? And like that voice, no matter what, like I always hear somebody say, like, well, how do you shut up that voice? It doesn't go off, right? It's just a choice of, in the moment, deciding to not act on what that voice said, right? But the barrier is literally has always been like just myself. Like, how do I stop myself from doing that? And then also, similar to what you said, I'm married, I got a wife, right? So when you go ahead and do entrepreneurship and you're like, I'm gonna start a business, and now you're putting all this money into something, the rent gotta get paid, the bills gotta get paid, You're starting off from scratch. Every 2 weeks means absolutely nothing to you as an entrepreneur because I'm like, I'm waiting until the first and the 15th. The first and the 15th does not mean nothing to me. It's the same as second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, whatever date of the month. So it's scary when you look at the month, like, yo, the rent is due, where it's at? And you see like a little notice under your door that comes through every single month. I'm like, yo, listen, I know you said you like, and entrepreneurship, it doesn't look anywhere like, there's no textbook. There's no way of like, hey, it's supposed to be like this, and it's not like an exact science. And so a lot of times somebody says, well, tell me what to do. I'm not you though, like, and that person's not me. And so the minute you can go and divorce that idea of what it's supposed to look like and be open to what God can make it be. Because I think sometimes we try to go and tell God, here's what I want, and God is like, well, since this thing looks so perfect, I can't change it. But if you go ahead and say, God, I want you to treat the situation not like a rock, but treat it like a clay, and I want you to mold me, then all of a sudden he can make that masterpiece out of you.
Yeah, especially, yes. No, because there's so much that we think we have to bring to the table and just say it's all in our hands. And I'm sure we've all been seeing the memes for the last few weeks with Kermit on one side.
Yeah.
It's Kermit, right?
Yeah.
And on the other side, it's a hooded Kermit.
Yeah.
And it's like that inner something, that monkey on your back. Or back when we used to watch TV, they would have like a little angel and a little devil that pops up on everyone's shoulder. But that voice never ends. We are going to always be the one who is talking us out of opportunity. Because why not create? And I love, it's actually my screensaver. If you, Julie, what is that on my phone, on the screensaver?
If you don't see an opportunity,
Create it.
Create it!
Yes. And especially because we often think that we have to wait for permission to do something. And if we're seeing gaps, if we're seeing, you know, the worst that can happen, or the best thing that can happen is that you can fail. But failure is often that we have this, oh, it's like an X, you don't want to have nothing to do with it. But the thing with failure is that sometimes when you trip, failure is, I heard one of my mentors say, failure is embedded in the cement of success. It's a necessary part of the process. So as you fail forward, it lets you know that, yeah, I'm going to continue this way, but even when you fail, Damon John says, I don't fail, I get data. So it allows you the opportunity to say, you know what, okay, I'm going to pivot here and I'm going to shift here simply because I'm getting the experience that's necessary. And especially now in our 20s and in our 30s, people would often say, you know what, I'm just going to see what happens. I'm going to party my 20s away, and then in my 30s, I'm going to become an adult, right? But especially in our 20s, sometimes it means failure, or sometimes it may mean radical, immediate success. But with if you rise too quick, you know, the downfall is going to be a little quicker too. But especially having the steps that are necessary can help you have that bigger picture and to appreciate the roadblocks, to appreciate the moments when you trip, the so-called failure or the data-getting opportunities that allows you to know that you can be very intentional even with those low moments that may happen. So we know that Nefi did not show up here overnight, right? The Nefi who you are right now is not yesterday you were just someone else and yesterday you're a brand new person. Same thing with Geo, and I know same thing for myself or many of you who are here. But how would you say personal and professional development has helped to shape your mindset and your vision to what you now see as tangible and a possibility for you?
I think it's like taking a drug. It's like taking steroids. Like when you go ahead and invest in yourself, I think it's the greatest investment you can make is in you. But in terms of like professional development, it's just something that I do on a consistent basis because I understand that if I just keep on sowing those seeds, then I'm just giving myself more opportunity to reap something. And so going into like studying speakers, going to go ahead and constantly understand that if the last time you got a diploma is when you graduated, you're doing something wrong, right? I should consistently be trying to figure out how to get more stuff, how to learn more things, because the more that I learn, the more opportunity I have to actually earn whatever it is. Because you don't get paid what you're worth you get paid what value you bring into the marketplace. So the more I know something, the more valuable I become, which automatically makes me have an unlimited potential of what I can be. So I think professional development is super, super important. And I think a lot of times what happens is we read books that are fictional and we don't be like, hey, I like to go into this faraway land, but we don't necessarily go and invest in books that are going to help us. Like, you know, so self-help is like something that's super, super important to me. I read on a consistent basis. I'm always trying to reinvest and understand also if you're living a life of purpose and you want to have a legacy and to impact others, I need to read enough to help the person who's not even reading.
Yeah, we'll have to.
One more time.
I said I need to read so much so that the person who's not doing it can help. I can go ahead and be of service to them because a lot of times they don't really know that they need it. And so I gotta go and make sure that I'm full. Like I never forget that a pastor of mine, he said that he loves McDonald's French fries. Like that's his thing. And he said his wife one day said, "Can I get some fries?" He said, "Absolutely not." And she was like, "Well, what, hubby? Like, I want some of the fries." He said, "No." But he said if he eats a full meal and then she asks for the fries, he has no problem giving it to her. So I just spend the rest of my life just trying to be full so that I can go ahead and give to other people. And so I don't know when I'm gonna have to give. So like somebody, like you said, like today, overnight you didn't just show up.
Yeah.
I realized like the person I am today, I've been preparing for it like 3-4 years ago. It just showed up today. It's like a good steak that when they told you like it's been sitting in seasoning for 28 days. I'm like, well, I get why it tastes so good now. Like it takes some time. It's like wine, it gets better over time. But I think definitely the greatest investment you can make is in you.
I love it. What do you say? I think that like we're all products, and basically if you don't invest in yourself, how can you expect other people to invest in you? I am a personal branding junkie. I didn't realize it, but I always have been very intentional about like who I am and what I put out there and how I'm perceived by others. I'm very calculated. Back in college, I like even now, like any opportunity I have to kind of like sneak into your subconscious and like, you know, build a little house there, I'm gonna do that. So like in my text messages, I have like my Twitter handle and my website in my text message. My friends, you know, they all laugh at you because, you know, I'm different, but I'm just like, no, this is intentional. I make sure that I have my personal website. Honestly, sorry to say this, I don't mean to offend anybody in this room, but if you don't have a website, your own with your name on it in 2016, no, that can't wait for 2017 to get that on and popping. If you don't have a personal website, like, I don't really take you that seriously. I knew back then that, you know, there are so many people that have gone to college, they've had great internships, they took amazing courses, they're super smart, but it's become more difficult in order for you to stand out in the marketplace. It's like, okay, you went to this school and you had this degree and what else? So I knew from back then, you know, from college that I needed a way to separate myself. So I made sure that I had my website. I made sure that I was very intentional about the things that I wanted. A part of being intentional was not being afraid to invest in myself. You know, it's like, oh, people are like, oh, it's too much money and blah, blah, blah. When I was hosting on BET, there was no makeup person. And they're like, why does my, you know, like, I love makeup, but like, I'm not a makeup artist. I'm like, why does my face look so flat? You know, then I had to invest, you know, spend money to go to have a celebrity makeup artist teach me how to do my face for television. And, you know, when it comes to me, like, all right, how do I want to take my brand to the next level? I invested in a business coach. And, you know, things coming out in 2017, okay? We'll speak about that a little bit later. But even with like my web series, like although I went to school for communication, I know I've done videography and all that stuff like that, but I paid somebody so that he could get all the cracks and the creaks and all the little errors. You know, you fix that, it's supposed to be perfect when I get it. So it's like those things, like you can't be cheap with yourself because what you put in is what you get out. So a lot of people wonder like why they haven't gotten to X, Y, Z. And it's because like you have to show that you are a valuable investment to yourself. Well, I don't want to put money to hire you or have you, you know, to help you with your business if you're not doing it yourself. So the least you could do is put up a website and about me and start doing the things that you want to get paid to do or the things that you want to be recognized for doing. The least you could do is use your social media and not have it private. That kills me. I'm not going to go on a rant. But you cannot have private social media pages and expect people to find you. I love social media, and it's a missed opportunity if you're just using it for personal or if you're just using it for business. You're doing it wrong. They can be used together. So, yeah, I was just very intentional, very strategic, and I spoke openly about what it is that I want. Whenever I meet somebody, my friends, they always come with the hook, like, all right, Neffy, it's time to go. Because I always want to know, what is it that you want to do? Like, what's your dream job? If I don't know what your dream job is or what your dream goal is, then I can't help you. So I want to know. And if I don't meet you when I go to your social media profile, I expect to see that in your caption, like who you are, what you do, like how can I help you? So I know if somebody's looking for an author or a speaker or whatever, I'll think of you.
Especially to help others identify, and at least because you're seeing the seeds that people are dropping, and you're seeing the seeds that people put in social media, having a personal brand is something that we all have.
Yeah.
We all have it actually. Whether or not we're aware of it, your brand is pretty much how you are perceived when you're not in the room, right?
Yeah.
So there's an imprint that we make, not just in our personhood, but who you're getting physically, but also there's an online you. I would often teach our students that there are three versions of you. There's your person who I'm seeing in front of me, but there's also a digital you, and then there is a paper you. So oftentimes I would read college applications, that's what I see first, right? I don't have time to research the students' social media profiles, so I don't have time for all that. But there are people who do that. But there is an online version of them. I remember I had a student send me a piece of mail without a return address of another said student applying to said university, drinking alcohol. Mailed to my address at work. But the interesting thing, not that is a really good story when I tell students because they don't believe it, but the fact is that there is a digital footprint that we leave behind. And if that digital footprint is not reflective of the person that we are or the intention that we desire to create, we're sending mixed messages. And those who are truly in need of finding you are not going to have that opportunity to find you. So, on your rise to where you are now, can you talk a little bit about your community that has impacted you in your pursuit of purpose? Whether it's a mastermind, whether it's the coaches, whether it's friends who saw your vision and who are supporting your vision. Not necessarily those who always have something negative to say, but talk a little bit about the community that has been around you that helps to cultivate the gift that's within you.
For me, everybody who knows me knows that my sister is my best friend. We
is.
are 12 years apart, and she's 12 years younger, I should say. And like, if I could tell her everything, I would, but you know, she's a little young, so I told her age-appropriate stuff. But she's like my biggest cheerleader. She is like the president of my fan club, and she believes in me when I don't believe in myself. And she reminds me to keep the promises that I make to myself. You know, because sometimes society gets in your head, and it's like, oh, you can't do this, or this is not what your life is supposed to look like. And you know, she always reminds me that I can do it, and then sometimes she get a little fresh, and then give the advice to me that I give to her, like, oh, you was listening, huh? So she is like the #1 person in my community, my fan club. My mom would be the second person because ever since my name is Nefertiti, full name, and I hated it for a while. They used to call me Nefertiti, Nefertits, Nefertiti, everything you can think of. And I hated it because it sounded so different in comparison to other people. But as I grew older, you know, the reasons why I hated it became the reasons why I loved it. And she thought of my name 5 years before I was even born. She was like, listen, you're not even gonna have an opportunity to think that you're not gonna be somebody. So she was always there, you know, always in my corner telling me that I could do whatever it is that I wanted to do. I used to draw clothes, you know, she likes the whole Afrocentric vibe. She's from England, by the way. Everybody thinks like, oh, what part of Africa? Like, we're all from Africa, but like, she was born in London. And she would take my drawings, because I didn't want to wear African clothes. She would take my drawings, like, all right, you want to wear African clothes? you design the clothes and I'll make them in African print. I'm like, oh, this is cute, like I wear this now. So she always, you know, is a support and a cheerleader, just reminding me to like dare to be different. So you see me, every month you gotta like, is that her? I think that's her. You know, gotta keep the hairstyles changing on fleek. I don't wanna look like nobody else, and I wanna make sure that when you meet me, that, you know, I leave a lasting impression, that I'm memorable. Outside of that, it's been very difficult for me to find a mentor because, like I said, there's not many people that I know that do this. And then the people in the entertainment industry, they're just like, the people in the entertainment industry that have been able to help me tell me that I'm too smart to be having the aspiration that I want to have. So it's like, you're good, but like, why would you want this for yourself? Like, that's not where all the money is. The money is behind the scenes and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why can't I do it all like Oprah? And they're like, because you're not Oprah. I'm like, boom. All right, I got you. So my mom, I just recently joined a mastermind group and hired a coach. One of my accountability partners of mine is right there. And we took that leap together. I don't know. I think I like to give myself heart problems because I like take these, I bet on myself a lot. Because like, nobody's gonna bet on me, I gotta bet on me. And it's like, I make these big money investments and it's just like, ooh, I'm gonna feel this tomorrow. But I look at my bank account and be like, I've been robbed. But, you know, both Iman and my business coach has helped me tremendously in order to like live the life that I want to live, you know, take those ideas and turn them into plans. So, first quarter of business 2017, I'm going to be hosting a 2-day entrepreneur conference, and I will be doing celebrity interviews on the red carpet. More to come.
So, call it teasing.
Yeah.
Seating. So we know that, especially in this journey, we have a measure of faith. How has your relationship with God helped you in your journey? How has your relationship with God been strengthened because of the faith that is necessary for this journey? And how does that allow you to be positioned for greater impact?
God is my moral compass, especially in this day and age, and especially like working in entertainment. Like, people sell their souls to just get wherever they can get. This journey has allowed me to talk to him more because like I'm a type A person, and for a very long time, and it still is difficult for me to bring my problems to God. Like, you're supposed to call on him and trust on him, you know, lean on him to, you know, see you out and to help you along the way. I'm just like, he's got a lot of people to worry about. You know, let me see if I can figure it out myself, and then I'm gonna circle back around if things don't work out. So I'm learning not to have to go through the bumps and bruises and just like, you know, just rely on him from the beginning and really ask him for what I want. I need to do better with that, but I have gotten, you know, I've gotten better along the way. But whenever I ask God for something, he exceeds my expectations. I'm like, bruh, I know he's gonna show up like that. So, you know, really just including him in all the plans that I have for my life and the things that I want, and just, you know, the good, the bad, and the in-between, because at the end of the day, he has a vision that's bigger than me, bigger than you, bigger than all of us. And if we just include him in the process, things will go a lot smoother and we will tap into our purpose.
I would just say simply like, God made sense of the nonsense. And that's what he